Alright folks, welcome back to the channel. It is just about mid-April here in the northern Adirondacks, and it is my first RV outing of 2025. There is my site all set up, ready to go. It's a balmy 46 degrees outside. Jax is right over here with me on this one, and the road coming in, yeah, that's the road coming in right there. A little bit of snow still on the roads here. A little bit of snow still in the woods. Snow banks down along the road where they plow it. But I've always said, you know, this was not where I planned to be today. But I've always said that when you go out to these free sites, you better have a plan A, plan B, and a plan C. And this was my plan C. My plan A, Jax and I were going to go to Floodwood Road, to the campsites along Floodwood Road, and the road is closed. So I was like, oh, crap. Well, on to plan B, and plan B, road was closed. So I understand them closing some roads for mud season, not to make it worse, but these were paved roads, just like this one is right here. And so this is plan C. Up here at Horseshoe, it's always good to come to Horseshoe. Just one of my favorite places in the world right here. But my first video of the year when I go RVing is I do camping predictions. Last few years I've done that video, and it's been a kind of a popular video. So that's what I'm going to do again this year. So follow along. So we all know the RV industry had a booming couple of years during COVID, 20, 21, 22, but then 2023 came and we saw the bottom fall out. It wasn't a 2008 type of bottom falling out for the RV industry, but it was a pretty good one. Sales are down 38%. Units that were built were down, what, 50% in 2023, and it was a big blow to the RV industry. So 2024 came around, and a lot of the CEOs in the beginning of the year all stated how they believed 2024 was going to be a rebound year, and that interest rates were going to fall, and people were going to start buying rigs again, and everything was going to be good. They predicted 13 to 15% increase in sales from 2023. It didn't turn out that way. Sales were down another 6.9% in 2024, but there was a silver lining in 2024. They sold more units than they built in 2024, which meant that a lot of the 2023 leftovers have finally moved off the lots. Not all RV dealers have moved them off. Some of them still have 2023s on there, as I noticed. Last year I went down to the RV show, and I looked forward to the RV show, and I was so discouraged last year after I left because the quality of the units have just gone downhill. The price has gone up, and I said last year you had to be insane to buy a new RV. Well, is it going to change this year? I don't know. In 2024, every RV category was down in sales, with pop-ups leading the way at minus 24.4%. Park models, which I don't know if you can call them an RV, they were the only category that was up, and they were up 12.2% in sales. And they're the type of RV, they're not like this here. They may have a frame and wheels underneath it just to move it to a site where you put it on and basically it's there permanently. I mean, if 10 years down the road, if you sell it and somebody wants to move it, they could. But it's not one that you're going to tow down the road every weekend or take your family vacations in because they are monster units. So what is 2025 going to look like for the RV industry? I said last year that I don't think it was going to be the promising year that the CEOs were thinking 2024 was going to be. And I said it was. I think the sales. I think were going to be relatively flat for 2024. Well, we know now they were down almost 7% at 6.9%. So in 2025, there's 5 things that are against the RV industry right now that is not going to lead to a huge sales increase in 2025. Those 5 things are the interest rates. Interest rates are still high, which dealers aren't carrying as much inventory because of their floor plans with the banks, and there's fewer choices for people out there. Plus, those interest rates are going to affect how much people pay if they borrow money to buy an RV. 2, overproduction. Overproduction, manufacturers flooded the market back in 2022, 2023, and that excess inventory is now starting to finally move off dealers' lot, but there's still some of it there. And so that's going to hinder, if somebody's going to buy a 2025 rig and they're looking at a 2023 that's still on the dealer's lot and they want to move it, they may get a better deal off of that. Number 3, what everybody is talking about, tariffs. Are these tariffs really, are they going to affect the RV manufacturing in a big way? I believe it will. But my own personal philosophy is that this tariff war that's going on is not going to last throughout the whole year. There's going to be some settlements over that as time moves on. But operation and material costs are getting higher and higher and higher. I mean, no matter where you are in the country, your electric bills are going up, your fuel bills are going up, and everything is just costing more. So we'll see how tariffs impact the industry. Just a quick note on tariffs: if you are looking at a new rig and you go to a dealer and they say, well, this rig, it was, if you would have bought it in 2024, it would have cost you $30,000, but now it's going to cost you $39,000 because of tariffs. There's a sticker on these rigs, and a lot of them are on the other side, but I have one right here on my door too that gives you the date of manufacturing. And if that date is before the tariffs went in, call them out on it, because that dealer's not being honest with you. So watch for that if you're going to buy a new rig. Number 4 reason why the RV industry is going to flounder a little bit this year: very few serious shoppers. Everybody's just looking. Everybody's going there. They're looking. They're daydreaming. I like looking. I love going to RV shows just to look at the rigs. But people have less disposable income than they did in the past, right? And because of the cost of everything. And then finally, number 5 is the one item that the RV industry can cure if they wanted to, and that is their massive quality issues that they have on their rigs. Last year when I went to that RV show, I didn't even bother to go this year because I still had a bad taste in my mouth from last year. The junk that they're trying to sell off and say, oh yeah, this is a $68,000 rig, and I'm looking at that going, are you serious? This is not that good. Not that good. But, so what does 2025 look like? Well, the first 3 months aren't looking very good. The first quarter of 2025, the RV industry was down 8.5%. That was first quarter sales. And that's even worse than 2024. So what does this mean with dealers and manufacturers? Well, they get trailers and RVs off their lots. They may just start, enticing some buyers with some rebates or markdowns. Still, I would be very cautious. Anytime you buy a rig, new or used, I always have it independently inspected to make sure it is what the dealer says it is. If a dealer ever refuses, they have the right to refuse, because they say if they want the inspector to be insured, they have that right. So if you get an insured inspector to come onto the property and inspect this RV, if a dealer refuses, walk away. That is my advice on that. For the rest of 2025, I don't see a huge boom happening at all. I think last year I said the industry was going to be flat throughout the year. I think they're going to be down a little bit this year, about another 6%. There's already manufacturers that are seeing declining sales because several RV dealers are canceling orders. That came out just last week on a lot of dealers that are canceling orders. They're not moving the units that they want to see moved. We're going to see a lot of manufacturers discontinue certain models, and they're going to consolidate brands also, which we're already seeing in the RV industry. Thor is already combining some brands into, one. There's been Winnebago has taken over, who was it, Newmar? I think they took over Newmar on that. So, and we just may see some of the smaller RV manufacturers close up shop. But like I said last year, I was highly disappointed in the quality of RVs. All I can tell you is, I love RVs, and if you're going to buy one, you may be able to pull one off, a used one, on the private sale, but always have it inspected. If you're new to RVs and you don't know what to look for, have it inspected. So the second part of my camping predictions, I predict what camping is going to be like here in the Adirondacks. And there's a lot of fear right now. I've been reading this for the last couple of weeks about Canadians not coming down this summer season to spend time and their money in the Adirondacks. I can tell you it's mid-April right now, and I'm seeing today, I actually saw Quebec and Ontario plates here in the States. So there may be some people that will refuse to, Canadians that will refuse to come down. That's their prerogative. And there's some that are just not going to care. They're still going to come down and do what they love to do. If they love paddling down here, they're going to come paddle. If they love hiking down here, they're going to come and hike. But we'll see how that plays out throughout the summer. I think the campgrounds will continue to be 60 to 70% full during the week. That is private and state campgrounds, and 90 to 95% on weekends, and maybe even fully booked on holiday weekends. One thing many Adirondack businesses rely on is that tourism, and they should be contacting their state representatives basically about getting proper funding for campgrounds. I am kind of discouraged this year. Last year I started to get a little discouraged with the DEC on some of the conditions of their campgrounds. The roads are getting poor in a lot of these campgrounds. Their sites are not level. They got dead trees that are hanging over sites, and I had a fella comment on one of my videos about, instead of putting it into a video of my campground reviews and doing it there, why don't I go to the caretaker and bring up these issues? Well, I have. I have brought it up to a caretaker, and the caretaker sits there and shrugs his shoulders and says, there's not much I can do. The state has to approve redoing the roads. The state has to approve redoing bathrooms and shower facilities. He says, we just clean them the best we can. And like we said before, it's hard to polish a turd sometimes. But a lot of these businesses in the Adirondacks and the town officials and county officials should be contacting their state representatives and saying, hey, the DEC needs to put some more money into these campgrounds in the Adirondacks to keep people coming here, if you give them a decent place to camp, and I'm not saying they got to put in swimming pools and all this stuff, but just it wouldn't take much, to level some sites and to fix some roads. And I'm not saying they have to pave all the campground roads, but at least go over them with some gravel or crushed stone. Now, anyone that lives in New York and has dealings with the DEC, they know that the DEC has these things called unit management plans, or UMPs, and they have them for campgrounds. They put these plans together, and if you look up some of these plans that go back into 2014, 15, 16, and they're a 5-year plan of what they wanted to do with some of the campgrounds, it hasn't been done. So that's why some of these Adirondack businesses and townships and counties should be screaming at the state representatives saying, hey, do something with these campgrounds. I love the DEC campgrounds. I have my favorites and I have my not so favorites. I love the free camping, and that's where I am now, the free camping, because the campgrounds aren't open yet. But some of these unit management plans haven't been fulfilled at all, like building bathroom facilities, new shower facilities. The one at 8th Lake Campground, it's a 2016 unit management plan of building a new shower house there and new bathrooms, and it just has never been fulfilled, and road work, and it hasn't been fulfilled. Unfortunately, New York State sometimes will look at these campgrounds and just consider just the opposite. The possibility of a permanent campground closure due to the lack of infrastructure, and that's what they'll say. They'll wait until the campground is so run down, water's leaking everywhere, the bathroom facilities and shower facilities are full of mold, and they'll say, well, the Department of Health won't let us operate it, we're just going to close the campground. And then they walk away from it. And that's a terrible thing to do. They have literally said that the possibility of permanent campground closure due to lack of infrastructure that is needed to meet the current designs and especially the DOH codes. So that is coming right straight from New York State. If you look at the Route 28 corridor from Forestport all the way up to Long Lake, there are 4 private campgrounds and 5 DEC campgrounds. These campgrounds are so important to the tourism of the Adirondacks. And you have Nick's Lake, which is a great campground in Old Forge, and you have 2 private ones there also, and they're always booked. They're always booked up. If you try to get into Nick's Lake, they're hard to get into. But some of these issues with campgrounds, a lot of people have turned off by them. I have had people comment on my campground reviews about how they loved going at one point to Golden Beach or 8th Lake or Lake Durant, but no money has been put into the campground in quite a few years. Lake Durant did get a new shower house facility. I did see that, so they don't go to them anymore because they said they're not worth it. They're not worth to go there to spend the $20 or $22 a night to stay there. I just hate to see New York State close any DEC campgrounds because they don't follow their own unit management plans. So basically, my campground predictions for the Adirondacks is I think you're going to see state campgrounds and private campgrounds are going to be 60% full during the week, 85, 90% on the weekends, and a little bit more maybe on holidays. So that is my camping predictions for 2025, and we'll see how they do. You think the RV manufacturers are going to see an up-down or down year? And do you think the DEC campgrounds within the Adirondacks are going to see an uptick or a downtick of campers? I think it's going to be relatively flat for campers, and I think the RV industry is going to be down again, anywhere from 4 to 7% again this year. We'll see. And remember, if you're going to buy a rig, new or used, always get an independent inspector. All right, folks, you watched all the way through. Thanks for that. If you liked the video, make sure to give me a thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed, click the subscribe button down below. Continue to follow the adventure. And remember, folks, tomorrow is no guarantee for any one of us. So disconnect from that Wi-Fi, connect to this out here. You won't be disappointed.